Good day, everyone. We are Group 7 and 8, and today we will be demonstrating how inhaling smoke, whether from cigarettes, vehicles, or any polluted environment, can affect the lungs. Using our improvised smoking machine, we will show you how these harmful particles enter the body and build up inside the respiratory system. As for the objectives of our demonstration, first of all, we will be observing how cotton, which represents the lung tissues, becomes discolored after exposure to smoke. We will also be illustrating the harmful effects of smoke and pollutants on the respiratory system using our improvised smoking machine. And finally, we will be comparing the improvised model to the real-life smoking and air pollution exposure.
Hello, this is the demonstration, or rather the components of our machine. So here we have the container full of cotton. The cotton is meant to represent the lung tissue. Um, then here we have the hole where we will be placing our incense for the smoke. And then connected to the cotton ball container, we have a rubber tube which connects to a Jisoo Life fan, which will basically be the one to pull the smoke out of the container. So yeah, basically, after a few trials, the cotton ball should turn yellow. And yeah, that's it.
Originally, our plan was to use a plastic bottle for the setup. However, we worried about how much it would crumble the bottle because of the pressure. Thus, we decided on using a plastic jar for this project, and considering the suction is only a DIY, it probably wouldn't cause that much of an issue. Another potential issue was the suction pump. While there isn't a major problem with a DIY syringe suction pump that we had, it was too weak and inconsistent, so we opted to use the suction side of a mini fan instead to make sure that the vacuum was consistent and not too weak. Doing this experiment at home could potentially raise a lot of dangers in the surrounding area. Most notably, homes usually lack the proper equipment and the lack of monitoring. Since smoke is going to be used, it could potentially react to something at home, whether it's another object or a person, as opposed to doing this at a laboratory, which has much more controlled and proper environment, as well as the right safety equipment in order to mitigate any issues from continuing. The precautions taken in these experiments were crucial in order to not have any accidents. Since this was done on campus, the surroundings were much safer since there are officers that stand nearby and safety equipments that lie around the general area. We also made sure that the experimenters weren't allergic to the chemicals or smokes that were used. As such, careful procedures were followed in order to complete this simple experiment.
The use of household and waste materials in our project not only encourages repurposing things that would otherwise end up in a landfill after being thrown away, but also enables us to think of creative ways that we can inform others about the dangerous effects of cigarette smoke, especially in our lungs, through our DIY lung machine.
Finally, to summarize our demonstration, we saw how smoke affects the lungs using our cotton-filled lung chamber. Even with a small amount of smoke substitute, the cotton darkened almost immediately, showing how harmful particles from cigarette smoke or polluted air settle deep inside the alveoli. The tubing represent the airways, and the suction pump showed how the lungs pull air in, reminding us that every breath brings whatever is in the environment into our bodies. This simple setup clearly showed how repeated exposure leads to buildup inside the lungs, and why smokers and people in polluted areas are more at risk for respiratory diseases. The darkening of the cotton made the hidden dangers of smoke easier to see. This is why understanding cigarette smoke composition is important for public health. Cigarette smoke contains thousands of chemicals, including toxins and carcinogens. Studying these helps scientists identify what causes lung damage and support stronger policies and health warnings. Ultimately, knowing what's inside cigarette smoke helps people make informed choices and encourages healthier and cleaner communities.